Can you all say Happy Diwali? Happy Diwali! Diwali! The one thing that people do in Diwali in India and wherever Indians live throughout the world is they decorate the entrance to their homes with these very, very complicated designs called rangoli, because mischievous spirits intent on doing harm are very generally impulsive. They get an idea and they just rush in a straight line to the accomplishment or the fulfillment of their idea. And they can't negotiate complicated designs such as the kids can't talk during the talk, and we also don't lie down on the floor in the worship area. Excuse me, sir. We don't lie down on the floor during the worship area. We didn't do it here, but in Salt Lake City, as you go into the temple there in Mill Creek, there's a very, very elaborate rangoli design. These are the reasons to celebrate Diwali. Like I said, we had a big celebration yesterday, Saturday night, because that's the time people don't have to go to work the next day. But today is the actual Diwali day. One is the victory of Ram. Ram's victory was a few days ago, but according to the epic Ramayana, Ram returned home to his capital city in northern India, Ayodhya, on this particular day. He arrived by Pushpa Vimana, an airplane made of flowers, from his place of exile in southern India. And as he circled over the city of Ayodhya, the citizens had been missing him for 14 years. It was after dark, the sun had set. So the citizens, they didn't have electricity, they didn't have floodlights, they didn't have powerhouses in those days. So Ram was welcomed back by Diwali. Wali means millions and millions, and Deepa means lights. The whole city was illuminated with lights, hence the festivity gets its name. Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, also appeared on this particular day from the ocean of milk. That's a whole different story, but if you have ever flown into Bangkok, Thailand, there's a huge mural sculpture right there in the middle of the airport, which depicts the ancient saga of the churning of the ocean of milk between the demigods and the demons. And as they were churning the ocean of milk, there were various byproducts. And one of those byproducts was Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. We'll say a little bit more about her later. The other companion epic to the Ramayana is called the Mahabharata. Just like we have in our Western culture, we have two epics. Can anyone name what they are? The two epics by Homer? The Iliad and the Odyssey. Thank you. So in India, we also have two epics. The Ramayana, which is the story of Ram, which is the main reason for celebrating Diwali. But there's another epic in which Krishna appears with his 5 devotees, the 5 Pandavas. They also are done wrong and sent into exile for 13 years. So they came back from their exile also on this day. This all didn't happen exactly the same day, but it's on that, you see what I'm saying, on that date, okay? Krishna killed a demon named Rakshasura who had kidnapped 16,000 princesses. Krishna liberated them and killed Rakshasura. Bali, that's a whole nother story. In a word, Bali was a devotee, but he happened to be king of all the armies and races of the demons. He contrived to give away his kingdom to Vishnu, who appeared before him as the dwarf Vamana incarnation. Vamana pushed Bali down to one of the lower planets where he presides, but one day a year he comes back. And particularly in South India, the return of Bali, who was a great devotee of Krishna, as I said, is also celebrated with many, many lights in South India. Now, if you're a Jain, I don't know if you've ever seen the people who wear masks and sweep ants out of their way when they go down the street. Anybody seen people like that in any part of the world? They wear masks so they don't breathe in germs and kill germs and get the negative karma. For the same reason, they sweep the ants out of their way so as not to step on the ants. They have a code of strict non-violence. What you sow, you shall reap. Whatever pain and suffering you cause, They believe it'll come back in them, and so they make their level best ever to inflict as little pain as possible, even on microorganisms, even on ants, even on germs. And so their founder, Mahavir, appeared on this day in history. Also, if you're a Sikh, if you are Siddharji from the Punjab, the foundation of the Golden Temple in Amritsar was laid on this day. So here's Ram, and Ram is also on the altar, the right-hand side with the bow. You always recognize Ram with the bow. Beside him, to his left, is his wife Sita. To his right is Lakshmi. And you may not be able to see very easily from where you're sitting, but down, kneeling down at Ram's feet there, is Hanuman. Now, the Ramayana is a story of great adventures, great supernatural feats and accomplishments, but most of those were not done by Ram. Ram is an incarnation of God. He's capable of doing anything. But for that very reason, God doesn't have to prove himself. He prefers to work through his devotees. So the Ramayana is a story of God empowering his greatest devotees to do supernatural feats beyond what they would normally be able to do. And the emblem of this bhakti, this devotion for Ram, is Hanuman. He wasn't high-born, he wasn't particularly good-looking, he wasn't particularly educated, he didn't come from an aristocratic family. He was just a monkey, a forest dweller. But because of that quality of absolute unconditional devotion to Ram, he was Ram's best friend. Ram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at one point hugged Hanuman. When Lord Jesus Christ says, love God with all your heart and all your soul and all your might, that's called bhakti. That's called bhakti, right? Not leaving anything back, but just trusting God, recognizing that he's got me in the palm of my hands, and letting go and letting God. So there was nobody in all of history who exemplified that better than Hanuman. And to celebrate, to glorify Hanuman, these are pictures of Hanuman. We're going to sing a song. Hopefully the music won't cut out. We've had problems with it cutting out. And I put the words on the board so you can at least follow. But if you want to sing along with me, you can certainly do that as well. Let's hit it, Janardhan. Here's a little introduction by Jairu Tal. Rock on, Hanuman. Here we go. Maybe a little more volume. You can do the volume right there. Huh? Son of the wind, Lord of the monkeys, Rama's best friend, who eliminated illusion, destroyed all sin, champion truth with unreal body, mighty God, the Lord is right. You the brother shout, you achieve victory like the movie Rocky. You carry a club, smash the thugs, you perfect servant, face of grace, your heart is pure. You make the whole demon race tremble when you roar. Hanuman Ji, you have the power. Make yourself small as a cat, tall as a tower. You devour lust, ignorance, envy, and greed. You succeed in never cower in the hour of need. You left to Lanka to reassure Sita. Don't worry about a thing, because Rama's going to free you. You burn down Lanka, and your tail is on fire. And to serve Lord Ram was your only desire. When Ram's little brother was about to die, without a second thought, he began to fly, searching for a cure, hiding in the legs. And when you were sure the church was taken, homie, you brought the whole mountain, half with one hand. I say Sita, you say Ram. Sita. Sita. I say Radhe, you say Sham. Radhe. Radhe. I say Hari, you say Nam. Hari. Hari. I say Nam, you say Ram. Nam. Nam. I say Ram, you say Ram. 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 When Ram's little brother was about to die, without a second thought, he began to fly, searching for a cure high in the Himalayas. But when you weren't sure which herb to take it, only you brought the whole mountain back in one hand. That's why Hanuman, you're Rama's best friend. You embody bhakti, yoga, and love. That's why Ram gave you a great big old hug. You're the mighty monkey warrior of the epic Ramayana, repeating Ram's names, the holy Ram Ram, singing kirtan with the cymbals in your hand, going all and all like a one-man man, singing Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Ram Ram Ram, thank you. Quite a few of you joined me in that. That was a rush. Now another thing, we're gonna do another one here too. Go to trance, the trance one. Now these are fireworks. We had a big fireworks display in Salt Lake City last night. All over India, there's so many fireworks displays that take place on the Diwali Eve. Yeah. Festival of Light is, as is stated, it's about light. And in our culture, the soul is equated to light. The soul is compared to a particle of sunshine, which comes from the sun. God is like the sun globe, and we're like a particle of sunshine. So we both possess the qualities of light and heat. God is eternal, we're eternal. God is full of knowledge, we're also full of knowledge. God is without any suffering, and we're also essentially without any suffering. But the difference is that he's great and we're small. The problem is that we all too easily get influenced by the darkness of matter with which we're surrounded. Would you say there's a lot of dark things threatening to intrude upon us mentally and physically right now? Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that? That the darkness is at the door? Okay. So the best way, at least to keep yourself happy, upbeat, confident, and moving forward, is to always remember that you're not a byproduct of matter. You're not temporary. You're in a material body, which is temporary, and you're also in a material mind, which is also temporary. But you yourself are not material. The body has a date of birth, and the body has a date of death, which when you think about it, if you think I'm the body, that's got to be depressing, because everything that you hope for, everything that you work for, everything that you long for, everything that you accumulate is going to be wrested out of your cold, dead hands at some point in time. So there's every reason to be depressed if you think you're this body. Depression, if you don't have a spiritual sense, is actually a sign of intelligence. But we understand that inside the body, the temporary body and mind, there's an eternal spirit soul. And you can't remind yourself of who you are, deathless, without birth, without old age, without disease, without becoming happy, without feeling the clouds of darkness roll back and depression lift. So, join me in this song and see if it doesn't result in bringing a smile to your face. When I look in your eyes, I see a shining soul. When I look in your eyes, I see a spirit soul. I see a, we don't have the soundtrack for this song. We don't have sound, okay. All right. I see a soul that's never born, a spark that never dies. Ready to supply back to the spiritual skies. A flame of light and love. He's like a machine. The candle never snuffed. Silence alive and singing. For the soul there's no beginning, ending there's nothing. Smaller than the atom, greater than the sun. When I look in your eyes, I see a shining soul. When I look in your eyes, I see a spirit soul. I see a soul that's never born, a spark that never dies. Yearning to fly back home, back to the spiritual skies. The inner soul continues when the outer body ends, like flame from will sparks ascending, transcending dark matter, blending with the sky, invisible to the naked eye. You cannot kill the cannot die, you cannot burn the cannot fry. The soul cannot be scorched by a blaze, no water can drown the spirit, no wind can make it fade. You cannot cut another, you cannot bleed. The soul is eternal, unborn, a seed, indivisible, indestructible, forever free from birth, death, old age, and disease. Yet howsoever turned or tossed, the soul can never itself exhaust. Seated in the heart, beating strong power, river when the soul's superior force lives on and runs its endless course in God's unlimited universe. I say Hari, you say Bo. Hari. Bo. Hari. Bo. I say spirit, you say soul. Spirit. Soul. Spirit. Soul. I say spirit, you say power. Spirit. Power. Spirit. Power. I say lotus, you say flower. Lotus. Flower. Lotus. Flower. As a cloud is seated on air, so spirit supports the flesh. Subtract the soul, just chemicals lying there, corpse, naked and bare. Not a twitch or wiggle, not a subtle wake or giggle. Can't take a little puzzle with a riddle. Deaf, blind, weak, dumb, can't reward it, can't ignore it, can't restore it. Deader than a doorknob, stiffer than a board. Only thing return it, burn it, bury it, earth, earth, dust to dust, ash to ashes. Infirm body versus immortal soul. Learn the difference, conquer ignorance, make a spiritual choice. Sing out, give voice, rejoice, make some noise for the spiritual force. I say Hari, you say Krishna. Hari. Krishna. Hari. Krishna. I say Krishna, you say Krishna. 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 I say Hari, you say Hari. 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 I say Hari, you say Rama. Hari. Rama. Hari. Rama. I say Rama, you say Rama. 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 I say Hari, you say Hari. 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 Good job. We still have to get a little bit more immutable soundtrack for that so you can chant along. Now, another very important aspect of Diwali is Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of fortune. She appeared during the churning of the ocean of milk between the demons and the demigods. And she's so beautiful, no one had ever seen a feminine form as attractive as that in the history of the world. So all the demigods, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, all the demigods wanted her to choose them as her husband. So they tucked in their paunches, such as that might have been. They took their best pose and tried to attract her attention. And she had no interest in any of them, except when her eyes fell on Vishnu, who is another name for Krishna. She's in fact the eternal consort of Lord Krishna. And they appear incarnation after incarnation as husband and wife. So she took Lord Vishnu as her husband. And it's also a fact, if you had been in Salt Lake City last night, you would have seen the Indian ladies decked out to the nines. In fact, my Bobby got donated a sari that must have been worth $1,000, I think, last time. Indian ladies really, really dress up for Diwali because they are themselves the goddess of fortune. The lady, the wife, is the goddess of fortune. If you men out there are married to a good wife, you know what I'm talking about. A good man and a good wife, it's not addition. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. But if you have a good man and a good wife and they serve God together, side by side, it's multiplication. In all humility, I can say that my wife and I don't know where she went. We came here to Utah Valley in 1980 with no money, no devotees. The Indian community, who are natural supporters, was very small. But because of the chemistry, 2 temples, radio station, biggest festival color, it's because of the influence of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. So, I invite you to look at this picture here. Make a note. She's sitting on a lotus flower. She holds 2 lotus flowers. Coins are cascading from her hand, and she has surrounded by elephants who are trumpeting. Okay, make a mental note of that. Now, if you join me in this, the poem, the hymn to Lakshmi is 15 verses long in Sanskrit, and I translated it and I condensed it to 8 verses. So these are the results that if you join me in just saying, we're not going to sing it, saying these 8 verses, you will get, it is said that you will overcome all financial difficulties, for starters. Chanting this mantra on a regular basis will bestow wealth upon you, prosperity. Any faults in your horoscope, any faults in your chart, and in your karma will dissolve. Chanting this mantra brings peace, happiness, harmony, and good health. Does that sound good to anybody? Okay, so if you're interested in any of that, it comes from chanting that. So let's just recite this together, shall we? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. I behold the goddess Lakshmi, whose eyes remove sin from our souls. She's a guardian of wealth for those whose role is to swell others' good fortune. She's adorned with jewelry formed of silver and gold. She's a bestower of ruins, and she glows like the moon. Present on her chariot, pulled by horses, on a celestial course through the sky. She's preceded by massive elephants, repeatedly shaking the elements while making their way along the highway. The trumpeting of the pack of birds is louder than any sound that's ever heard. The goddess of auspiciousness, her origin is the limitless ocean. She's the unborn consort of Lord Vishnu, adorning her hands with 2 lotus flowers. She devours death with pounds of valuable coins, which cascade down onto the ground. Goddess of prosperity, she makes the home a safety zone where disparity is unknown. With your help, O Goddess Lakshmi, I will banish from my house the anguish of strife and relish happiness with my life. You vanquish life's calamities while simply languishing on your throne. She's surrounded in guile, blesses all with her gentle smile, gives happiness to the senses, and blesses those who honor her Lord Vishnu without offenses or pretenses. Effulgent like the sun, stunningly beautiful, her countenance is inscrutable, except with Vishnu, who is her indisputable Lord. I revere Lakshmi, who has no peer among women, who is the protector of children. Millions of demigods like Shiva and Brahma worship her to relieve their karma. She's a personification of dharma, and in her form as Durga, she is everybody's momma. Yes, you nourish all creatures, like a mother who supplies all the eatables in abundance. Like the earth, you are the source of all fragrances. We worship you for your graciousness. Thank you for the food we are soon to receive on this Diwali Eve. In this hour, may that flower of Lakshmi pour the shower of her mercy upon me. So you just made your life even more. I know it's auspicious because you're all middle class, well-to-do, intelligent people, but you made your life even more auspicious by joining us in that. Now we celebrate Diwali / Govardhan Puja. There's a picture there. There's a picture there. What is Krishna doing? He's lifting a mountain with a little finger of his left hand. And not only did he lift the mountain, but he held it aloof for 7 days and nights. Why? Indra is not visible in that picture, but you see him in that picture. He's riding on his elephant, Arivata. Krishna is exhibiting his pastimes. He's God. He appeared on earth 5,000 years ago. If you're a Christian, you believe that the Son of God appeared, 2,000 years ago. He's on the planet for 32 years. Our information is that God, the Father, appeared 5,300 years ago in India, and he was on the planet for about 125 years. His early pastimes he spent in our version of Bethlehem, a place called Vrindavan. Now, when he was in his 7th year, just in the form of a 7-year-old child, the people in the village there did an annual sacrifice to the god of rain, Indra, because they're an agricultural village and they require rain so they get good crops. So this has been going on for many generations. But Krishna wanted to teach them not to rely on what we call demigods. He was present as Supreme Personality of God, and he wanted to show them that if you devote yourself single-mindedly to God, then you don't have to worry about satisfying all the minor deities. A rough example, all the purposes that are served by various wells. If you're in a village, you have to worry about cross-contamination. So you can't do everything in one well. You can't wash your clothes, you can't bathe, you can't do your dishes, because it'll get polluted. You have different wells for different purposes. But if you go to the river, you can do all those things and you don't have any worries. So the purposes that are served by the small wells are all served by the river. To use a really crude example, and I apologize, an example for this, you don't have to go to all the little shops and delis if you got Walmart. Sorry about that, but I think probably that drives the idea home more than anything else. You know, why go everywhere else when you got a Walmart? Unfortunately, that's the case. So Krishna wanted to show that if you worship God, you don't have to divert your attention to worshiping various demigods. The demigods' power is given by God and dependent upon Him. So even though he looked like just a 7-year-old boy, looks can be deceiving, he was a supreme personality of God, adopting the role of a 7-year-old boy to satisfy his great devotees, like his father, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda. If you want to find out more about that, it's a huge, huge science and a huge body of knowledge. Anyway, Krishna diverted the sacrifice paraphernalia, which was meant for Indra, and they used it to worship the cows and nearby Govardhan Hill, which would supply nice grasses to the cows. When the cows ate grass, they would produce milk, from which we get cheese, yogurt, butter, ricotta, sour cream, all this, ice cream, all those things we like to eat. However, when Indra heard that he wasn't getting his sacrifice, and he was a little puffed up, having been in that position for a long time, failed to recognize Krishna as his Lord, so he invoked these thunder clouds that are normally only invoked at the time of cosmic annihilation. He told him to go to Vrindavan, a little village, an area only 32 square miles, and destroy it. So within a few moments, the water came down like pillars, the temperature dropped, there were icicles, there was freezing cold rain, the water level was rising literally second by second, minute by minute. So what did all the inhabitants of Vrindavan do? Krishna, they are all devotees of Krishna. So they looked to Krishna to intervene in the situation. And Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill with a little finger of his left hand. He held it for 7 days and nights, invited all the inhabitants, all the cows, all the monkeys, all the peacocks to go under the mountain where they were warm and dry. And they danced and they sang. They had a big festival for 7 days. After which Indra realized the error of his ways. He called the clouds to cease and desist, and he came down and he bowed down before Krishna. Now, if you go to Vrindavan, it's interesting because one of the many, many places that you can visit there is a big rock. It's a big flat rock with 2 oblong grooves in it. So the guides will tell you that that's where Indra's elephant, Indra got off his elephant, Indra bowed, asking Krishna's forgiveness, and his elephant also bowed down on that rock, and the rock melted, leaving those 2 oblong prints there. So the celebration of Govardhan coincides with the celebration of Diwali. Yesterday in Salt Lake City, we made a miniature Govardhan Hill, and we circumambulated it, and then we ended up eating the hill, which was a lot of fun. So if Janardhan during the Arti decides to sing Giri Govardhan, that's Krishna. Giri means mountain. Govardhan is the name of the mountain. Krishna is known as the lifter of the mountain. So now you know, right? Now you know something you probably didn't know 15 years ago. Oh, one thing I should tell you is that on this day, tens of thousands of people walk around present-day Govardhan Hill. It's 25 kilometers. Anybody know how many miles 25 kilometers is?
40.
How many?
40.
No, it's less. About 15, 16 miles. So it takes about 5 hours. There's a well-trodden path, very fine dust, nobody wears shoes, and they take about 5 or 6 hours to walk around. And they believe that by walking around Govardhan Hill, they will reduce their karma, negative reactions. So we always made a little hill and everyone can walk around it right in the temple. Sorry, I'm going to do that today. You have to come to Salt Lake next year. Okay, so we're just about the end here of our slideshow. The last feature of Diwali is that people eat a lot of sweets. Eat a lot of sweets. I remember before we opened the Salt Lake City Temple, this was the only Diwali in Utah. So we used to have huge crowds. Since we kind of split our congregation and it's more convenient for people to go up to Salt Lake City, we don't have a big Diwali now. But we used to have a really big Diwali because there wasn't any place in Salt Lake. People would come here in the hundreds. So we're doing all the usual things. We're making our little Govardhan Hill, and we're preparing the flowers and everything. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I say to my Bobby, did we cook? Did we cook anything for the people? And she says, we did. It's okay. Everybody's going to bring something. We don't have to cook. And I'm thinking, okay, that seemed kind of risky, you know, like a version of Russian roulette, you know. Well, she was absolutely right. I mean, she was hands down absolutely right. Everybody did bring something, but it was all sweets. So we managed to cook up a big pot of rice. So if you had been, maybe some of you were there, I don't know how many years ago it was, but the dinner was rice and sweets. That was the Diwali dinner. So ever since then, you don't have to worry if you're getting nervous. We did cook some hot preparations for you this morning. Okay, so anyway, this, broaching this subject about sweets gives me the right song to end this PowerPoint on. And it's about the sweetness of Krishna. Krishna means all attractive. All beauty originates from Krishna. And at the same time, you take all the beauty there is within all the three material worlds and all the spiritual worlds, all the Vishnus, all the Brahmas, all the Shivas, all the Lakshmis. It still doesn't add up to the beauty which is present within Krishna, the original form of Krishna, and the sweetness. And so 500 years ago, a great saint named Vallabhacharya wrote the Madhur Astakam. Astaka means 8, and Madhur means sweet. So these are the eight verses glorifying all the many ways that Krishna, in his original form, as a monsoon-colored Yud boy playing his flute with dark hair, a peacock feather in his crown, all the different ways he's sweet. So I didn't write out sweetness because it would just be too much. So in between this, you'll get the sense of it. I'll recite it. You're welcome to recite it along with me. You get an idea. I don't know where we got this idea in the Western world that God is an old man with wrinkles and a beard. I guess it's a mundane way of thinking that God's the oldest, and so he must show his age, and he's the most intelligent, and you don't usually get wise until you're older in life. All totally mundane reasoning. God's not subject to our mundane reasoning. The image of God is an old guy on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Prabhupada summed it up in 2 words. Imaginative iconography. Imaginative iconography. Fact is, being all-powerful, God never grows old. He never dies. And what's the red light? What's the yellow light before the red light? If red light is death, then what's the yellow light? Old age. So if there's never any red light for God, there's never any yellow light either. He's always youthful. And this will give you some idea of the sweetness of the Supreme Personality God. And we'll finish with this. Oh yeah, we do actually have some music to go with it, which would be nice too. You're welcome to say, I'll try to go slowly so we can all His lips are sweet. His face is sweet. His eyes are sweet. His smile is sweet. His loving heart is sweet. His walk is sweet.
completely sweet, about the Lord of sweetness. His words are sweet. His personality is sweet. His garments are sweet. His posture is sweet. His movements are sweet. His surroundings are sweet. Everything is completely sweet about the Lord of sweetness. His food plan is sweet. His footprints are sweet. His hands are sweet. His feet are sweet. His dancing is sweet. His friendship is sweet. Everything is completely sweet about the Lord of sweetness. His singing is sweet. His drinking is sweet. His eating is sweet. His sleeping is sweet. His beautiful form is sweet. The mark of his forehead is sweet. Everything is completely sweet about the Lord of sweetness. His deeds are sweet. His conquests are sweet. His stealing of hearts is sweet. His loving relations are sweet. Offerings made to him are sweet. His countenance is sweet. Everything is completely sweet about the Lord of sweetness. His necklace is sweet. His flower garland is sweet. His river is sweet. And sweet are her rippling waves. Sweet are her waters. And sweet are her lotus flowers. Everything is completely sweet about the Lord of sweetness. His cowherd girlfriends are sweet. His pastimes are sweet. His meetups are sweet. His adventures are sweet. His sidewalk dances are sweet. His manners are sweet. Everything is completely sweet about the Lord of sweetness. His cowherd boyfriends are sweet. His cows are sweet. His walking stick is sweet. His unlimited creation is sweet. His pictures are sweet. His arrows are sweet. Everything is completely sweet about the Lord of sweetness. I thought I'd do it in the original for one main reason. Just keep in mind that the word for sweetness is madhur. Madhur. Just listen to how many times it repeats itself. Adaram, 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 nayanam, adaram, asadam, adaram, devinam, adaram, yamanam, adaram, adaram, vipataya, adaram, adaram, vacharam, adaram, charitam, adaram, asadam, adaram, maritam, adaram, charitam, adaram, maritam, adaram, vipataya, adaram, adaram, devo, adaram, devo, adaram, ani, adaram, 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 yutam, adaram, sakam, adaram, adaram, vipataya, adaram, itam, adaram, itam, adaram, yutam, adaram, sakam, adaram, rupam, adaram, ilatam, adaram, adaram, vipataya, adaram, karanam, adaram, karanam, adaram, karanam, adaram, ramanam, adaram, ramitam, adaram, saminam, adaram, adaram, vipataya, adaram, Durga, adaram, 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 ramanam, adaram, Shiva, adaram, saranam, adaram, kamalam, adaram, adaram, vipataya, adaram, Gopi, adaram, Leela, adaram, Vridam, adaram, Vridam, adaram, Visham, adaram, Sristam, adaram, adaram, vipataya, adaram, Gopal, adaram, Gaudam, adaram, Vasudeva, adaram, Shishtiva, adaram, Alinam, adaram, Avitam, adaram, adaram, vipataya, Akalam, adaram. Can you say it after me? Happy Diwali! So we're going to have a arti ceremony, and you'll have a chance, hopefully, to offer a lamp, also make a wish, and learn sweet, sweet, sweet kirtan. Okay. Come on, stand up and come on, join us in the front for the arti. Please, thank you.
Acharya Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koda Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur.